Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cryptonized. This is our long form version. You've been seeing a lot of shorts. I just have fun with shorts. It's so much easier for me to produce. But when I get a special guest like Brian Esposito, I'm going to bring him on and let's do some long form because he's actually an industry insider like I am and can talk about what's going on in tokenization, talk about what's going on in the government. So, Brian, welcome to the show. Will you give a brief introduction of yourself? You've been on a couple of times before, but for those of you that haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Thanks for having me back. So Brian J. Esposito, CEO and founder of Esposito Intellectual Enterprises. That's my private holding company of over 24 years of building, starting, and acquiring companies. There's over 115 entities within that ecosystem. We operate over 25 different industries and proudly been operating in digital assets and things like security tokens or tokenization in that world for over 13 years. I took over DLMI, Diamond Lake, in August of 2023 when I realized, hey, the wealth of the world does not understand things like tokenization, crypto, NFTs, digital assets, all these buzzwords, but they know how to buy a stock. So we wanted to position ourselves as a great stock with a great business model with tokenization built into our strategy for potential stockholders or future stockholders that have in their portfolio.
Yeah. And we're doing the same thing. What is still a little lacking, and, I thought I'd start with that, and then we'll talk about the future, is liquidity. It'd be great. It's great for us to say we're turning them into stocks, which essentially we are. But I think it's even better because it can be traded globally and with 4 clicks if you're using the right platform. But
Sure.
what is it that, do you agree with me? We need liquidity. And then is there a liquidity problem, even if we get liquidity because of everything coming online and being tokenized? What are your thoughts around that?
Great question. There's usually one consistent answer to this. I look at it much differently than a trader or the liquidity problem or question. We've been partners, or I've been partners with INX, even projects with T0 and Securitized since they came out. Obviously, they're 3 great leaders, and I'd love to be able to still work with them and for future projects work with them. But because, like you mentioned, there is going to be a rush of offerings, right? So I never wanted to be behind another file or a larger company or somebody that's more blessed with these exchanges. So we went and we co-invested into Horizon FinTech Upstream. So we have under our umbrella our own licensed and regulated digital asset exchange for our own offerings. So we have a turnkey one-stop shop for those types of situations. Now, when it comes to liquidity, even like our stock, I don't look at it as, oh, we need volume and we need our stock to trade. No, I'm looking at a security that we continuously build value and assets and balance sheet on, ways in which we continue to reward our shareholders or our future token holders, all kinds of dividends, perks, and rewards. I'm also building this for myself as a shareholder, and I only have one class of shares. So when I look at liquidity, I look at it, well, if we build a company, a parent umbrella company like Diamond Lake, or all of our subsidiaries or assets underneath the umbrella, if we're smart and we've got great management and great business plans and pipeline and access to great opportunities, then these businesses should be very profitable. And our token holders should be able to also be benefiting from the earnings that those token holders get. So if a token holder wishes to exit, I want to be able to be in a position, or the company to be able to be in a position to buy those tokens back because we know the value of them. We know the yield or the return that they generate. So when I'm looking at liquidity, I'm not looking like, oh, I need to get out there and build a marketing hype machine that gets people interested in our company or our tokens. I want to build a business that people love to be part of, myself included. I want this to be a security or a future token within my asset allocation that I hand out from generation to generation. And I also want shareholders or token holders to have the same mentality. We've been called the Berkshire Hathaway of tokenization, and that's a very humbling and exciting description of us. So if that's the case, then you have a potential security or token that just continues to appreciate in value and reward its token or equity holders with dividends, yield, and returns.
Love it. All right. Well, I like that. I like your approach to Berkshire Hathaway. Of course, you could trade Berkshire Hathaway now, but I know eventually, especially when you're adding these companies to your portfolio, there might be liquidity just by the fact that they want to get a dividend or they want these rewards that you're talking about. So I know it's going to happen. I just think there's a point where liquidity is really important to a class of investor. And you might not want that class, it sounds like, but for a lot of people, they like the fact that when they buy real estate, it's tokenized. They can exit out of it without waiting 7 or 8 years. So,
Yeah, absolutely. But if there also benefit in that token being attached to rental income or whatever that building yield is, or if that building gets sold because the majority token holder is still 51%er that makes a decision on where's that liquidity come from. Absolutely. We're working with massive funds that have trapped LPs around the world that want to utilize tokenization or the DLMI program to help bring liquidity to those LPs with token holders to be able to buy into a building or a resort or a hotel that they never even dreamed they'd be able to own 0.00001% of. So when you're looking at, the viewpoint that I always set out to do this is the 99 percenters of the world. It's going to millions of people to throw a few pennies or bucks into something, then going to dozens or hundreds of people and hoping that they'll throw millions of dollars into something. It's a much different pool that we're communicating with. But also, I know you've built a great platform and you're doing amazing. The liquidity and the familiarity is going to come in play when you can go on your Charles Schwab account, or your Ameriprise account, or Goldman Sachs account, because you're used to that process when you're buying stocks or bonds, and be able to buy a security token or a token into an asset or a real world asset or a project. That's when you start to see a lot more scale and volume as well.
Yeah, I agree. From around the world too, because this is not limited to the United States like most often. But
Sure.
It's a great segue. I don't know if you did this intentionally, but let's get into regulation and why this hasn't happened already. What are you seeing in some of these bills that have been put forward? I'm hoping the Clarity Act helps clarify a lot of what we can and can't do and provide some solace to institutions. It'd be nice to get more institutional involvement. We already see family office and high net worth individuals investing in security tokens, but I'd like to see institutional. I'd like to see sovereign funds. What's your take? Give us your professional read on what's going on with regulation.
Yeah, thankfully, because of new administration and things that are happening around the world, you're starting to see things move at a much more faster pace for policy change. Some things that concern me are executive orders that get done from a presidential signature rather than actual real policy change through the proper channels, because all it takes is another future president that says, hey, that didn't work. We can unwind that and change that. So that's a concerning factor of mine, but in real time, it's okay. But who knows what happens in the next few years.
Jumpstart these things. That's it. And then have Congress follow behind. I'm hoping that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, someone needs to spearhead it like anything else. What concerns me about tokenization, when institutional interests, just like where Bitcoin ETFs are and Ethereum ones, that's a very manipulated world, right? Those commodities and those good old boys network and the people that lead on those things. So when something goes into the 1% of the world, like the institutional play that you're talking about, great for volume, but it also prices out the 99% of the world. So, our culture and our ethos is we want to bring opportunities to the 99% of the world that never had a chance to buy into these things because they don't have a good brokerage account or they live in a jurisdiction around the world that never had access to certain assets or certain investments. So, from my angle, the benefit of the movement with regulation and institutional interest in things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of these other tokenization programs is that it forced banks to not debank customers or clients because they have digital assets in their portfolio. It also forced a lot of exchanges to be able to have a more regulated environment and bring focus to the Coinbases of the world or the INXs and the T0s. Like these are the ones that understand regulations and rules, are the ones that have been salivating for more volume and more traders to be on their platform so they can support great projects that list on those platforms. But I also firmly believe what's going to happen is the very smart and I'll say lucky youth of the world that were buying these meme coins and supporting these massively overpriced, whatever you want to call them, crypto or token projects in the world that aren't backed by anything. You don't even know who's running them. They're going to grow up, those investors or those token holders, and they're going to pull their money out of those vehicles and they're going to look for a crypto or token related project because that's what they love and that's what they're used to, but a more sophisticated project that has a real asset attached to it, real earnings and real sophisticated management.
But what about on the regulation side that's coming up? What do you see happening that really takes our industry to the next level? Do you see anything on the horizon? What do you feel?
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's new SEC chairman that's going, apparently is trying to clean house from previous administration's policy. Things take time. Policy changes take time. They got to either retrain or rehire a bunch more enforcers or employees within that administration or that agency. So it's not going to be overnight. But the good thing is now you don't have to be afraid to be a U.S. citizen and love things like crypto and tokens and you can go into that space now, right? Mm-hmm. President Trump wants the USA to be the capital of crypto around the world. So with that mindset and maybe things like if you are a US based crypto or token project, then maybe the capital gains tax doesn't apply to you. Like there's a lot of verbiage going around to really inspire innovation in this country and really make a big move for this to now be a leader outside of Dubai and Singapore and some other parts of the world that really took the stance on, hey, we're going all in on digital assets and crypto. And now we can put our flag in the sand with that. And that's going to really help our economy and really help startups and new employees in a brand new industry that we need as a country. We need an industry that we could say, hey, this is ours and we own it around the globe.
Yeah. No, I couldn't said it better myself. I think these regulations will bring clarity, and with clarity brings, and you might not like them as much as I do, but institutional money, which and then opens up, the everyday person that uses Charles Schwab or what have you, because then they can list them, because the SEC's clearly signaled, I think FINRA has too, that banks can now take custody of crypto assets, and our assets are way safer, can't be hacked, essentially can't be stolen, than crypto assets.
Well, I'll tell you what. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I love institutions. I mean, I've been involved with that world for a long time. But when you touched on liquidity, they're not going to love institutional investments, because they need to make sure that their investors inside of those funds or whatever the case may be have an exit, right? But when you're talking about where my philosophy is, if you're giving a fractional ownership to somebody around the world that never had a chance to buy into that, there's a sense of pride there. There's a psychological connection there that they now own 0.001% of a building in New York City, or a hotel in Miami, or a music catalog that's coming out of Nashville. So it's a much different type of connection. There's more of a first of its kind moment where it's not about, oh, I need to exit this thing. It's, I'm going to hold this. I own this. I never owned anything in my life, and I actually get to earn a little bit from it. So that's why I see the difference in liquidity not being a major hurdle. But if it's all institutional that's coming in, and there's a crisis and they need to dump out of that asset, well, that's going to be catastrophic, because if nobody's buying it in the world that they're used to.
Well, I mean, there's market makers like the tokenization market. God, just slipped my mind. But essentially, they make a market. They provide that liquidity for a fee.
Yeah. GSR is one of the best out in the world. They do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, market makers, the word I was using, looking for, not enough sleep currently. But also the company itself doing buybacks. I do think some liquidity is important, and maybe just limit it to some extent, or the market makers, like they do with stocks, limit it to some respect.
I think it should force companies that if they have security tokens or tokens out in the world, and they also need a marketing machine or a market maker to create liquidity, that's very gimmicky. Why not focus on, hey, we're going to raise a bunch of money for this acquisition or this company. Make sure it's run right. Make sure it's earning. And if you have strong cash flows and you got a great balance sheet, and any of your token holders that help fuel that ever wish to exit, again, back to what I said earlier, you should be the one buying it back.
But why not do that traditionally? Why even token? What's the advantage?
I think it's a new way of loaning money, right? It's a new way of creating a pipe. Your token holders can keep it based upon the subscription agreement, however long they wish, or whatever the note, whatever you put out in the market that's attached to that token. They can keep it for the amount of years that it's out there, or buy it back. But what a great way of bringing money into fueling your business, your idea, or a potential opportunity that's outside of the traditional mechanisms that are hard. Out there trying to raise money is tough. You're relying on rates to make sure your bank debt is sustainable to your business model. But if you're going to a giant crowdfunding vehicle that's now in a regulated environment, it's legal based upon how you do it, and you can go to millions of people, hundreds of millions of people that are involved in this tokenization crypto world, and give them a great opportunity to own something, own a fractional ownership into something. That's a hell of a way to go out and raise money. I think it's easier doing that with the right story and the right reach than doing a roadshow and trying to beg people and doing stupid dinners in restaurants and doing these pitches. That's debilitating and exhausting, and very rarely converts, or being fooled to pay some consultant firm upfront retainers that they're never going to perform on. I mean, that stuff is crippling for an entrepreneur or a new company or someone trying to raise money. But in this world where someone can make some garbage name of a coin like Farcoin and it could be worth billions of dollars, like, connect the dots, give those people something real, something of real value.
the reason why they're raising so much money on that is because there is liquidity, right? Because
Well, because it's a giant marketing machine. It's all marketing,
it's a
but
Ponzi scheme. Let's face it, these meme
100%.
coins are a Ponzi scheme, but they bring a lot of liquidity, and that's why they get funded so quickly, raising billions. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like a celebrity behind it, or Donald Trump, one of the two. So those things just take off, and I'm like, this is just not based on anything. There's nothing back it, nothing behind it.
Scary. We used to call that vaporware back in the day.
It's vaporware. Yeah. That's what it is, and it's getting more and more suckers to buy into it, and all of a sudden it becomes.
But there's there's a moment, right? There's a moment where maybe $2.5 trillion of these things out there collapses, right?
Which one hasn't collapsed? I mean, Bitcoin being the only one, but I don't see it as a Ponzi scheme. It's more, there's a lot of faith put into it, and now it's infiltrating real systems around the world. So it's based on faith, but it's infiltrated so many different wallets and even countries, El Salvador, and I know a few others are considering it. That it had some value in that. It's not some meme coin, some monkey meme coin that is based on just hype.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's move to the future, okay? Where do you see this all going? Are you like, the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, where he says the whole system's going to be tokenized?
Yeah, I said that. I said that 11 years ago. Now it's trending. 100%. See, our model, and when I reference Bullish and Circle and Coinbase, those are crypto companies and services, right? On and off ramps, transactional. When I was building DLNI and where we are today, we put tokenization in the business model. We're not just crypto and tokens. That's the difference between us, and I think that's the future model of all companies. So when you're talking about the future, you have selling equity, you have issuing debt, you have leveraging your assets, you have cash flows, and by the way, you have tokenization. That's where we lie. So I believe the smart strategy is you look at what's going on in the market, and it's a hybrid of all these financial mechanisms in the right recipe, X percentage here, X percentage there, X percentage here. And you go to the market with, here's what we need. Here's what we want to, here's our little hodgepodge of how we're going to bring in capital and where the capital stack lies. That's what I believe is the right future. Because you need to touch on familiarity, age groups, what people trust, what people don't trust, what people are comfortable with, what people aren't comfortable with. So you can't just go all in and say, hey, everything's going to be crypto. That's it. That is going to be that at some point. We're not trading seashells anymore like we used to as humanity. It's evolved. So yes, at some point your phone is just going to be completely digitized. Every transaction is going to be some sort of token happening behind the scenes. And what's even scarier is that, hey, if you don't fall in line with what we're saying as far as big brothers of the world, your digital world gets turned off, your money gets turned off, your healthcare gets turned off. That's the scary thing about where we're going. And that would go back to hopefully the right people writing these policies and these 9,000 page documents where there's one line that all of a sudden you just gave away all your freedom because now the US dollar is now converted and backed by some sort of digital currency. So
it's not going to happen with this administration, but future maybe.
100% has to. That's the way of the world.
See, I think everyone starting a company or a real estate project should tokenize it, and not just for tokenization's sake, because when you add in smart contracts, you have all the other flexible options.
Efficiencies, absolutely.
Efficiencies, the ability to take investor money worldwide, assuming they pass a KYC, AML. But most people haven't done this yet. I'm encouraging people that approach us. You could tokenize your company to have different classes, and one class could be for loans, one could be for equity for your employees. You can design it so that it creates a flywheel effect, because I always encourage, especially people on the equity side, to build community around it. And the more token holders you have that have an interest in what you're doing, and let's hope they're also potential customers. You create community around it, and you've just bettered your odds for being successful. There's no guarantees, of course, but why not start with tokenization like you have, Brian? And then it opens up all these doors that you never had before.
Absolutely. No, I fully agree. And so what I'm excited to see is how it starts to relate into our everyday life. I use an example as a Macy's stockholder, right? You can go to Macy's right now and own Macy's stock in your portfolio, and then the staff there or the clerk doesn't care. No. You get nothing, but you better be a Macy's Inside Rewards customer, and we'll give you your 10% off and all these other perks. But now with tokenization and tokenized equity, having it being connected through API into your wallet, and then maybe there's an NFT created behind the scenes in the admin, and now when you already shopping at the counter of Macy's and it lights up that, hey, this is a Macy's stockholder. You better treat this person like gold. Give them the belt for whatever. Go give them a free umbrella. Like that's
Yeah.
what I'm excited about for equity, people that are supporting companies, tokenization, efficiency, smart contracts, blockchain. All these things are going to start coming together where us as participants, users, consumers, investors, all these pieces are going to start working together where I believe the person that has been leveraged and exposed and completely taken advantage of, the transparencies of that are going to start to change and you're going to start to really be valued because you are something extremely important to this company. So these systems are going to start talking together very importantly. So that's where I see the future. Also, I'm dying for DLMI for us to be the first public company that is, if you're going to be Web3, you're going to utilize tokenization and this is your story. Well, then I believe your investors should have, but second by second, access to how well that company's doing. So when you start talking about blockchain and Web3 and smart contracts and us being a true, fully, fully visible company, there's no reason for an investor to have to wait 90 plus days to make sure the CEO did a good job last quarter. Like, and when you start implementing things like that, I believe you start creating a much calmer investment community where the volatility isn't so drastic because even when companies hit and the stock can tank and nobody knows why or what's going on. So, these systems, I think, will help create a much calmer environment for investors. It'll help crisis or depressions or economic, any type of recession. So these things need to be implemented sooner than later. And it also helps keep everybody in check, right? If you can follow the money and it's so transparent and it's on a ledger, it's very difficult to maneuver and create harm.
Okay. Let's finish up this episode by talking about DLMI. What are you guys working on? What are you doing? Where do you trade if you trade? Tell us everything about what's going on.
Yeah, DLMI has been an OTC Pink company, public company since 1954. We're working very hard for a strong senior listing partner. We've got some great announcements we've made, like having our own license exchange under our umbrella and partner. We made a great co-development partnership with Boxable. Boxable broke all kinds of records on their crowdfunding mechanisms, which are fully manufactured modular homes. They just announced that they're going public on NASDAQ. They have over 50,000 investors. So what a great thing that they've done. We want to be tokenizing these Boxable villages for affordable housing to help create a solution for that crisis around the country and around the world. If you look at our board, we got the chairman of Colliers, Brandon Fugel, so very heavily active with what's the future of tokenization look like in a number 3 largest commercial real estate firm in the world, such as Colliers and Colliers International. Mike Malik Sr., owner of professional sports teams, instrumental in the casino industry. So does tokenization look like for casino and real estate development projects under what they do? Having possibly developing a token that's backed by a physical casino chip and then licensing that technology to other casinos around the world. Very heavily going to be involved in TV, film, music, and media. We think music catalogs and music IP and connecting fans with either very well influential pop stars and singers and bands or up and coming ones, where tokenization can help fund those careers or fund those passions, but also create new liquidity for fan bases of a very massive scale with some of the artists that we work with and are connected to. Hotels, resorts, and developments. The CEO of One Hotel Baccarat Treehouse Resorts, Raul Liel's on our team. So it's, what does all this look like as an industry agnostic umbrella multi-strategy operating company that we built? We're a very GE structure. We're going to be involved in so many different industries and proving that tokenization, like you said before, will work across them all because it's a new strategy. It's a new financial mechanism that every business needs to have. Just like you put credit cards into your business at one point, just like you implemented Stripe or PayPal into your business at one point. You have to evolve or adapt or die. And, that's the fast paced industry that we're in today.
Love it. Okay. So you're trading on the OTC. Are you trading? Do you have any plans to trade on tokenized exchanges yet?
It'll be our own. We've got approved for that through Upstream. So on our own partnered license exchange. So we will be trading there. What's very interesting about tokenized an equity or a security is that you can't short that token. So that's really helps protect a lot of companies from shorting or naked shorting. So there's a lot of benefits in tokenizing that equity. We haven't turned that on yet. It was actually something I never thought about turning on, but we went through all of the application processes to get approved. In my mind, it was tokenizing all the subsidiaries and businesses that DLMI benefits from. And then I want to issue very friction-free and user-friendly tokens or security tokens to our equity holders. So I want to make it so easy for equity holders to get all the benefits of tokenization through our strategies and get all extra perks and rewards and special dividends based upon our businesses and our initiatives.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you, Brian, for being on the show. Let's set up something for 90 days from now. So, because I think a lot's going to happen in the next 90 days. We're already
Would love that.
I don't know about you, but my inbound is crazy.
It's nuts, right? But you're out there. That's why I admire the hell out of you. That's why people see you and they trust you. So you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. All right. Talk to you soon.